friends, it's Miss Giselle today, and I have a book called Harold and the Purple Crayon. One evening, after thinking it over for some time, Harold decided to go for a walk in the moonlight. There wasn't any moon, and Harold needed a moon for a walk in the moonlight, and he needed something to walk on. He made a long straight path so he wouldn't get lost, and he set off on his walk, taking his big purple crayon with him. But he didn't seem to be getting anywhere on the long straight path, so he left the path for a shortcut across the field, and the moon went with him. The shortcut led right to where Harold thought a forest ought to be. He didn't want to get lost in the woods, so he made a very small forest with just one tree in it. It turned out to be an apple tree. The apples would be very tasty, Harold thought, when they got red. So he put a frightened dragon underneath the tree to guard the apples. Oh my goodness, it was a terribly frightening dragon. It even frightened Harold. He had to back away. His hand holding the purple crayon, his hand, it just shook and it shook. Suddenly, he realized what was happening, and by then, Harold was over his head in an ocean. He came up thinking fast, and in no time, he was climbing aboard a trim little sailboat. He quickly set sail, and the moon sailed along with him. And after he had sailed long enough, Harold made land without making much trouble. He stepped ashore on the beach, wondering, where he was. Come on, page. The sandy beach reminded Harold of picnics, and thought of all the picnics was making him hungry, so he laid out a nice, simple picnic lunch. There was nothing but pie, but there were all 9 kinds of pies, and Harold liked all of them the best. And when Harold finished his picnic, there was a lot left. He hated to see so much delicious pie go to waste. So Harold left a very hungry moose and a deserving porcupine to finish it up. And off he went, looking for a hill to climb. To see where he was. Harold knew that the higher up he went, the farther he could see, so he decided to make the hill into a mountain. And if he went high enough, he thought he could see the window of his bedroom. He was tired and he felt like he ought to be getting into bed. He hoped he could see his bedroom window from the top of that mountain. But as he looked down over the other side, he slipped. There wasn't any other side of the mountain, and he was falling into the air. But quickly, luckily, he kept his wits and his purple crayon, and he made a balloon, and he grabbed onto it. And he made a basket underneath the big balloon, enough to stand in. He had a fine view from the balloon, but he couldn't see his window. He couldn't even see a house. So he made a house with windows, and he landed the balloon on the grass in the front yard. None of the windows was his window, so he tried to think where his window ought to be. He made some more windows. He made a big building full of windows. He made lots of buildings full of windows. He made a whole city full of windows. But none of the windows was his window. He couldn't think where it ought to be. He decided to ask a policeman. The policeman pointed the way Harold was going anyway, but Harold, he still thanked him. And he walked along with the moon, wishing he was in his room and in bed. Then, suddenly, Harold remembered. And then he made his bed. He got in it and he drew up the covers. And the purple crayon dropped on the floor, and Harold dropped off to sleep. The end. Wow. So you see, Harold has a great imagination, and he created an adventure all his own. So now what I want you guys to do is grab your box of crayons. It doesn't matter if it's a big or a little box, but look in there and grab out your purple crayon and get yourself a nice white sheet of paper and start drawing like Harold did. Make an adventure. And maybe you can use more than one sheet of paper, because he sure did a lot. He drew so many things. Water, trees, buildings, a policeman, mountains. I can just imagine what you can draw. So after you're done, I would even like to see. Share it with me when you can. Okay? Love you guys. See you later. Have fun drawing. Just like Harold. Bye.